Yeah.
but just kind of how they've been improving and learning and still kind of, getting out there.
Yeah, I do think that's important that you do have the ability to grow and to learn and to get better. If you think about the games that we played, you have Temple, it's a two possession game. You have ECU, it's a one possession game. Memphis, Tulsa, three possession game. North Texas, two possession game. So, I mean, we are in these games. You've got to find a way to win these one or two possessions that we're coming up short. So there's a lot of fight. I'm not worried about guys not giving their best effort. So it is a situation where you're very mindful about kind of what it takes, and then, man, here is the area or two that we need to clean up. And it's not just one thing. If we could pinpoint just one thing, we'd kind of spend our focus there. But going back to Memphis, it was turnovers. Going back to a game earlier this year against ECU, it's free throws. The other night, it's rebounding. So there's just some things that we need to get cleaned up, especially as you go into not quite the last half of the conference, but the last 10 games.
Is there kind of a comfort level there? Maybe not comfort level per se, but I know in the beginning of the season it maybe was the sort of effort issue you had mentioned in the pressers.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you know it's just X's and O's, as a coach, does that kind of give you some results?
Well, yes, but I will tell you that skills are king. Like, you have to have skills in order to be good at anything, but intangibles are supreme. Like, at the end, it is your ability to fight, it is your ability to compete. There is a big difference between playing hard and competing. There's a lot of teams that play hard, but I don't know necessarily how many are actually competitive. Like, you have to be willing to compete. Otherwise, this stuff will just feel like a job, and you'll get belabored by the whole process, and it'll be difficult for you if your only thing to do is to think through this as work. And if you're competitive, though, there's a joy that's involved in that. So you do have to have the right mindset more than anything.
I missed the presser after the North Texas loss.
Mm-hmm.
What was it toward the end there that just wasn't working?
Yeah, I thought we were really good. You're up three with 7 to play. And then I thought once Harlan Beverly went out, just who he is defensively, he ends up fracturing his nose and decides to come back. But you have this little 3-minute segment where there's an 8-point turnaround. I'm sorry, a 7-point turnaround. They turn around and take a 4-point lead. And when he was in there, we were up 3. And I just thought that level of disruption kind of threw us off, just because for the last 2 medias of the game, we've kind of been rolling with our starters down the stretch, unless there was foul trouble. But I do think that missing Harlan during that segment really turned around and cost us. And then, we had some shots, some of it's shot selection, some of it's execution down the stretch. Like, Quincy's got to find a way in order to get a touch those last 2, and that did not happen. The one bucket that we scored was out of a pick and roll to Quincy, but there were some other segments there where Quincy has to get a touch, and we've got to do a better job of reminding them exactly what needs to occur.
So, in general, you would say there's kind of a bevy of issues, shot selection, I mean, obviously turnovers earlier, but that's the case for any team, especially in this conference,
Yeah.
right? And I guess that just leads into how difficult this conference is to play in, and now it's your second year. How do you feel, like you've gotten comfortable with the teams and kind of getting to know them, and now you're hitting the road to face Charlotte, the team you beat earlier, but just can you talk about the difficulty level of just the
Well, if you look at it, I don't know that there's a lot of differentiation between whoever is in first and then whoever is at the bottom. Like, these are close games. You don't see these big blowouts that are occurring in a whole bunch of double-digit wins. So I do think that there's a lot of parity in the league, and knowing that, I will tell you, you always hope. I'm not lost on the fact that Well, when I came here, there was a rebuild that needed to happen. Everybody's aware of how good Wichita State basketball has been, and it's kind of not been. And having been a part of a couple of rebuilds at Baylor and at ORU, you don't want to think that they're extensive, but you soon realize just how extensive. And I'll tell you, the first part of a rebuild, or any time you're building, is character. Like, character has to be the foundation, and I feel good about that. And then what has to happen after character is the caliber of the person, the caliber of what you're bringing into that locker room. And I'll tell you, the caliber of talent in the league's pretty good. And it's great because you have a mind, you're way more mindful about what's required in order to be at the upper echelon of this conference.
Is it hard to take on as a coach?
It's what we signed up for. It's like what we do. To be honest with you, it actually invigorates me. I get pretty excited about it. Why would you need leadership if everything was going well? Like, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I enjoy doing. If you talk about college basketball, I think a lot of people would tell you that Baylor University was one of the greatest rebuilds of all time. So to have a front row seat to that, and to watch that, and then to be able to do that at ORU, and have a seat to that, it's what you signed up for. And to be honest, it's extremely energizing. You're extremely motivated. I'm just wired in a way like, this is my calling. This is what I do. Now, would I prefer the less obstacles and bumps in the road? Absolutely. But I'll tell you what's different versus Baylor and ORU is this is not a rebuild without resources. Those other two were situations where you had to rebuild without resources. This is not that situation. So it is one of those things you're actually very excited about every single day.